I made it to somewhere on the east side. I'm not even sure where I was. I continued to try to call her on the cell phone. Approximately 10:15, the phone rang and she picked up the phone. And they were still on the 104th floor, northwest corner.
Why? Were they trapped?
I don't know if they couldn't get out or they weren't getting any information. I can only guess that they couldn't get out.
What did she say at that point?
I mean, we talked we shared, some moments about, each other, and I think we were at that point. She didn't know the other building had collapsed. She didn't want to know. I didn't tell her. I said, get out, just get out of there, whatever you can do. At that point, they weren't sure if anyone knew they were up there. So again, either we lost contact or we got off the phone, and I spent the rest of the time running around trying to get in touch with FBI agents, telling people that, there are people up on the 104th floor. They don't know if anyone knows they're up there. They're not getting any contact. And that went on for about 15 minutes, and then I saw the second tower go down, and I haven't spoken to her since.
When you sat there, you had already watched one tower collapse, and you watched the second tower collapse. Did you give up hope at that point?
I don't think I gave up hope. I still did not give up hope. Still didn't. I don't know how I felt. I still don't know how I feel right now. I spent the rest of the day back in my office where I work, watching television, thinking. About 6 or 7 o'clock, people I work with said, you know what, we're not doing any good sitting here. Let's go down and try to help out. So since 6 or 7 o'clock, Tuesday, I've been down there working with the rescue teams, just trying to do whatever we can to help out.
Thousands of people are in the same situation you're in this morning. What kind of contact have you had with city officials? What kind of counseling has anybody been given?
I don't know what counseling is offered. I personally, I don't think I've gone to look for counseling. I think my own counseling is just being down there and knowing that I'm trying to help other people. If I can help somebody else, I'm sure someone somewhere is trying to help Danielle. That's what makes me feel better right now. I can't really tell you how I feel.
As we leave you, Chris, one of the more poignant scenes last night were many people like you who had tried so hard to go down to this area to offer their help to rescue workers. And there was a spontaneous, almost an act of celebration where people were cheering on the rescue workers. They have taken such enormous risks to go in and try to find people like your girlfriend.
I drove down the West Side Highway and there were people cheering, and it just, I think it rose everybody, it elevated everybody's spirits at that time. And there's some fine people down there, the finest people I've ever seen trying to help. And that's all I can say about everybody right now.
Well, our thoughts are with you. None of us has any idea of what it must feel like to be in the situation you're in. Thank you very much for joining us at such a painful time of your family's life. We wish you luck. Miles, before I hand it back to you in Atlanta, I just wanted to quickly bring our audience up to date on some of the other changes in New York City. You might have seen scrolled across the screen that limited airport service will resume today at the 3 major airports here in New York City. But what we are being told is the first thing is going to happen is the flights that were diverted from New York, most of those going to Canada, will be the first flights to arrive here today. All of the businesses south of 14th Street, which is about 20-odd blocks away from here, will continue to be closed. Most of the bridges are open today. Subway service is all but back up to service except in some sections of southern Manhattan. So once again, Miles, it is a very slow process of New Yorkers getting back to probably what will never again be a normal existence.
All right. Thank you very much, Paula. Let's turn it over now to one of our affiliate reporters with WABC. Lisa Quintana is at LaGuardia Airport, where some service is now resuming. Lisa, is it still on a limited basis?
Oh, not even that. As of yet, there has been no air activity. Now, the airport here, LaGuardia, did reopen at 6 o'clock in the morning. Behind me, you'll see airport employees, you'll see airport passengers back there. But if we walk over here, you'll see that the security checkpoint that leads to the airport gates, well, that railing is still down. So as of yet, no flights have come in, no flights have gone out. However, passengers are here. There's a sense of confusion. There's a sense of concern. We were told to tell the passengers you should call your airline ahead. You have to rebook your flight. But I spoke to one woman, and she did call her airline ahead, and they told her flight would be leaving at 7 in the morning. She's still here. That flight hasn't left. So that gives you an idea of what today is going to be like. It is going to be far from normal. If you do call ahead, if you do come to the airport, you have to be very patient. Like I said, it'll be a far from normal day. Again, a lot of security changes, no curbside check-in, movement inside the terminal will be restricted. They only want ticketed passengers inside here. They don't want people to meet and greet people who are arriving on these planes. So again, changes. Give yourself extra time. Be prepared for the new security procedures. We're live from LaGuardia Airport. I'll give it back to you.
Lisa, before you get away, just give us a sense of how many flights are scheduled right now. Are you getting information from the airlines? Are those monitors giving you some indication as to how many flights may be coming in or out?
Well, I mean, I called American Airlines. We're in the American Airlines terminal, and right now they don't have any scheduled service to leave here today. She says at the earliest it'll be late tonight. If you look at that television screen over there that lists the flights that come in and out, they all read canceled. I also spoke to United Airlines, the representative from that airlines. They had hoped that diverted flights would be able to leave early this morning. That hasn't happened. They had hoped that scheduled flights would be able to leave as early as noon. We're still going to have to wait and see if that will happen as well.
Lisa Quintana is with our affiliate WABC, joining us from LaGuardia Airport. Thanks for being with us this morning. We should point out Reagan National Airport, Dulles Airport in Washington, still not open. No indication as to when they will resume service. This unprecedented grounding of aviation in the United States continuing, but slowly but surely we're headed toward an emergence of air travel once again in the United States. Let's move it down to Washington, where we're told President Bush is at work in the Oval Office, beginning his day, once again considering the possibilities for a response in the wake of this unprecedented attack. Over at the Pentagon, a very visible sign of that. CNN's Bob Franken standing by in front of the Pentagon as the efforts there continue to pick through the debris and begin an investigation. Bob.
Well, Miles, there's a double emphasis here. There's an emphasis, of course, in trying to return to a normal setup in about a little over a half hour. Normal business hours will begin, and all the people who work here are expected to show up. At the same time, of course, there is the effort to try and find the fallen comrades who were a result of this horrible collision between the airplane and the Pentagon a couple of days ago. And the search and rescue effort now goes on day and night. We have seen some of the bodies being taken out. We have not gotten any casualty figures, nor has the Pentagon given us any estimate about how many people they will ultimately find died in the building. We're told that there are between 150 and 200 who are unaccounted for, including those who were on the airplane, but the search goes on. And it's a search that is being conducted to a large degree by the Fairfax County Urban Rescue Unit, which is a unit from nearby, but it is a unit we've seen around the world. We saw them in Oklahoma City with their dogs. We saw them in Turkey in the earthquakes, and now we're seeing them close to home. And the person who is involved in this rescue, who spent quite a bit of time inside the darkness, says it's horrible.
There is a lot of damage, more damage than I've seen before. It must have been like a furnace inside. The concrete holds the heat. The heat was there for a long time. Some areas you can still feel some of the heat. There's a desk, computers, ceiling tiles that have fallen down, wires everywhere, chairs, and a lot of very burned out areas. It must have been like hell in there.
Lieutenant Craig Lukey says they have come upon some bodies, they have not come upon survivors, but they continue to look. Meanwhile, the American flag has been draped over the damaged part of this building. Right next to it, and indicates a sign of hope, a sign of a desire to get back to normal operations here, normal, Miles, but things will never be the same. Miles?
A little bit more about normal operations. Employees at the Pentagon are reporting for duty this morning, are they not? And we're not just talking about bare bones personnel.
We're talking about everybody, and of course that raises the obvious question, where will those go who were assigned to the many offices that have been damaged or are unusable? And the answer is they are to report for work. They will be assigned facilities. They'll get back to the business at hand here. And of course, as we all know, one of the most important facets of that will be planning military operations that ultimately might be used in retaliation for what was done here and what was done in New York and what was done to the United States.
CNN's Bob Franken at the Pentagon for us this morning. Across the river, across the Potomac, we go to Congress, where some lawmakers are talking about just that. A resolution of resolve, perhaps. It would support the use of military force, perhaps to respond to Tuesday's terrorist attacks. Congressional leaders are negotiating with the White House on the exact language of all this. They hope to come to some agreement later today. More on this from our congressional correspondent, Kate Snow, who is on Capitol Hill. Kate, what is the discussion here? Is there a debate over the resolution?
There is. We understand from sources, Miles, that this debate was started by the White House requesting that Congress take a look at some sort of use of force resolution, some sort of resolution that would outline or allow some latitude for the president in the case that the president and the administration decide that force is warranted. This is something that's been done before. Similar measures were passed during the Vietnam War and during the Persian Gulf. Now, it is very much in a state of flux. It's being negotiated. We understand more meetings scheduled today between congressional negotiators and the White House on that front. On another front, the Congress probably will take up today a spending bill, an emergency spending bill, and that would provide some money up front for some of the things that are needed right away. Emergency spending that would give the administration money for rescue, for repairs, also for counterterrorism efforts. That effort, we understand from the House Appropriations Chairman, could be with a price tag of about $20 billion, that's billion with a B, dollars, although that's still a little bit in flux as well. Late last night we were told that the figure would be $20 billion and that the bill would outline things that this money could be spent on, and that's anti-terrorism efforts, increasing transit security, repairing public facilities, and supporting national security. Within those broad categories, Miles, the president would then have latitude to spend the money as the administration sees fit, to move money around. This would just be a first step, I'm told by sources here on Capitol Hill. This would be one of perhaps several bills down the road, but a first step to at least initially give the president some money that obviously is much needed at this critical time. Miles?
Kate, clearly we're in uncharted territory here, but we're talking about a declaration of war against whom?
Well, we're talking about, we have to be very careful with the language. What's being discussed is a resolution supporting the use of military force, and the language is very careful, and it's being negotiated now. There's been a lot of talk about should there be a declaration of war, and that very question that you just raised is the one that's been raised all over Capitol Hill. If you did a declaration of war, who would you declare war against? It doesn't fit any of the previous models. It doesn't fit the War Powers Act. So there's a lot of talk, a lot of discussion, and just to reemphasize, it's a fluid discussion, and no decision has been made about any resolution, but that's the effort. The White House would like to see some resolution put up that the Congress could vote on, just to give the president some much-needed backing.
How quickly are we likely to see that vote, Kate?
One source told us last night, this could take days, so we don't know. We know that they're in meetings again today. We do know on the funding front that I just mentioned, the $20 billion appropriations bill, emergency spending bill, if you will, that's likely to come up today. Miles, they want to get that to the president by today.
All right, CNN's Kate Snow on Capitol Hill. We should tell our viewers at 7:35 Eastern Time, about 7 minutes from now, we will hear from the Attorney General of the United States, John Ashcroft, a live interview here on CNN. Stay with us for that. Let's go back to Paula in New York.
All right, Miles, right now we want to give you a better idea of exactly what is going on in that area where rescue workers are very slowly being able to move ahead on their efforts to get into the area where the two World Trade Centers collapsed. Here you see the extent of the damage. We are hearing from our correspondents on the scene that rescue workers, many of whom have seen things that none of the rest of us ever want to see, can't even describe what they are witnessing down there now. We are told that some 100 buildings in the surrounding area have been damaged. There was a report last night that a 54-story building was about to collapse. We have now confirmed through the building management of that building that is not true. So that's one ray of good news here. But the grim news continues to pile up. The medical examiner here in New York City says he has some 500 body bags in stock. He plans to order at least 5,000 more. The mayor now confirming at least 80 dead. You add that to the several hundred